Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers. We got the guys joining us here in just a minute. So we're going to go ahead and get things rolling here this morning as got a lot to get into. Figure we would go ahead and dive into that early on and away we go. All right. We've got a lot of things going on in the world of sports. Obviously, college football took place yesterday, and we will be getting into that tomorrow morning. But all in all, that Florida-Alabama game was impressive. Penn State, Auburn game was a lot of fun. Not a lot has changed on who we thought we would win, but a lot of things changes the perception on how good the teams were that lost. Once again, Florida State's terrible, and I can't get behind Norvell till I see improvement. So I'm not necessarily calling for his head right now, but what I am saying is I'm not going to sit back here and tell you that everything's sunshine and roses and he's going to turn the corner, because what has he done to prove that he's going to turn the corner? I haven't seen it. I've seen nothing but regression. I haven't seen improvement. So we'll look at that on tomorrow. As far as baseball goes, the Braves lost again last night to the Giants. So they're in win now mode because the Mets can't find a way to win a single game. They're playing almost like the worst team in baseball at this point. And the Mets are losing to the Phillies while the Giants are beating the Braves. And so now it's a 1-game lead in the National League. I know it's hard to keep up with a lot of this during the regular season of a college football on Saturdays and NFL on Sundays. It's hard to keep up with all the baseball that goes on, but it always winds down at this point. And so we try to keep you abreast of that. A lot of things going on outside of baseball, obviously with a lot of football going on today. We're going to get into the lines here in just 1 second. But one of the things I did want to do was I wanted to go ahead and talk about the AL wild card. To me, that's one of the more important things going on in the world of sports right now. The AL wild card to me is you've got the Red Sox now leading. You have the Blue Jays barely in front of the Yankees. They're in a 3-game fight, essentially what's going on. And it's going to be interesting going down the stretch in that AL wild card. They're facing the Rays, and the Blue Jays are squaring off early this week. So we'll get into more of that. Just wanted to kind of lay the groundwork of everything else in the world of sports before we get started and the guys get going. I'm going to hit you with the lines that we're starting off with this morning, and then we're going to get into the games here when all the guys join me here in just a couple of minutes. So that's why we went on a little early. Nobody's late. I go on a little early so we can get everything laid out here. Saints are a 3.5-point favorite at the Carolina Panthers, and the over-under right now as we speak is 45. Now, obviously, different sites are going to are going to vary, but at the same token, it can give you a litmus. And then when you go onto another site, you look at it and go, okay, well, we go off of Bet US typically, just because until Florida gets its own legal gambling system, we go off of Bet US because it's usually the most accurate to the Caesar Sportsbook out there in online betting, excuse me. And so we're going with that one this morning. Things might change as Florida's getting very close to getting everything passed. So there you go with that. All right, the next line that you got right now, you got the Houston Texans and Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is a 13.5-point favorite, a 13.5-point favorite. The over-under is 48. And also what we have going on is the Bears and Bengals. The line is now down to just 1. I feel like everyone's kind of given up on the Bears. They don't think that they're going to be very good. I would just caution you on taking that game because a road win in the NFL, especially after one's coming off a loss and the other one's coming off of a win, it can be very, very tricky. So we've got that game going on, and it should be fairly high scoring. I had to stream the Bears defense in a couple of leagues, but I don't feel super confident about it. I do believe that they're going to give up a lot of points, and we'll just have to deal with that as fantasy owners. Sometimes you don't get the best matchups, but the last thing you want to do is wreck your entire fantasy roster for one stream. And that's kind of where I went today with it's only in a couple leagues, but I was forced to take the Bears. Eventually what happens is people drop their defenses, and then I scoop them up throughout the year. And by the end of the season, when you go into the playoffs, I usually have a pretty solid defense. I don't worry about, I've already picked up Baltimore's defense in one league. Why? Because they didn't look good in week one. Everyone freaked out. It's still a pretty good defense. It really is. It's a really good defense. And, at this point, you have to I don't freak out too much in week one. I look at weeks. Week 5 is when I really start going, all right, I might have to fix my team. All right, we're going to about to start the show. Tones and Joey are with us now. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome to the Handicappers. Welcome to the Handicappers, your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football, year long, and your DFS payouts. True Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers. Welcoming in Bobby the Kid with Joey and Tones Areola, with Stephen Troche and Sean O'Toole on the way. With your host, Mac McGee. Welcome to the Handicappers. Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers. Joining us is Anthony, or Tones as he likes to be called, Tones. And of course, we've got Joey. Joey, I think, is already running from the Los Angeles Rams defensive ends. You see him in motion right now. He's en route. Tones, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
It's great to be back. It was an eventful day of games yesterday, and now it's time for the pro slate of games today. So if NFL Sunday could replicate what college football Saturday did, specifically the Auburn-Penn State atmosphere, that was electric. I hope we see some cool atmospheres around the league today. I'm excited for my Bucks to be hosting the Falcons, and I'm excited to be back this morning talking football with you and the boys.
Amen to that. Joey, how are you, sir?
Doing fantastic, Matt. Good morning on this NFL Sunday. Had a pretty good game last night. Like Tone said, we watched that Auburn game, got back from South Bend after a Notre Dame win. So feeling good. The vibes are high. Let's just hope we get some wins today for our teams.
Yeah, congrats to both y'all. I'm officially a free agent as a college football fan. I am, dude. I, I can't sit here anymore and go, oh, he's turning around. He's really doing things. He stinks. Until I start seeing W's, I don't want to hear about how the culture's changing. Until I start seeing the statistics changing, man, I'm not gonna sit here and waste my Saturdays on Florida State. I'll still have it on in the background, but I'm gonna get locked into real college football teams that are actually giving it their all. And I'm sorry, you're an FSU fan, you can be pissed off if you want to, but there's no way Travis should be in there playing quarterback when Milton does a decent job. He's not great, but you never get the guy warmed up. You keep pulling him in and out, in and out, in and out. It's stupidity. It's the same thing he did with James Blackman. What do they say? The definition of stupidity is, or insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I'm not impressed by Norvell, and he can make me eat my words, but I feel like Norvell gets fired after next year unless something drastically changes. And I don't care if he's got a good recruiting class in September. These kids aren't coming to Florida State in early or late December / the February signing period. If this keeps up, you think FSU's 2-8? Guys go, oh, I can't wait to go play for this bozo. So, anyways, end rant. Let's get into pro football. Let's start with Bucks. And the Falcons. Could be a sloppy day. There's a lot of rain coming through the in a God's country here today. As it has done nothing but rain here all morning long, and we're expecting more in Jacksonville, and rain's coming through in Tampa. So it's going to be a sloppy field. Tones, where do you see this game? I think right now they're around a 13-point favorite, depending on what site you're on. Where do you have this game today? Is it 4:05 or 4:25 kickoff?
Correct. It's 4:05 Eastern, 3:05 Central kickoff. So that'll be a lot of fun to see what happens in this wet one. I think the Falcons, the weather conditions, the more rain helps Atlanta, obviously, as the sloppier it gets. 13 points is a lot in any NFL game. Although the Bucks are defending Super Bowl champions, they are banged up a little bit. Sean Murphy-Bunting is out 4 weeks or the whole season. It's to be determined. Carlton Davis has surfaced with a hamstring injury this week in practice. So the Bucks could potentially be without their first and second cornerbacks in this one. All those signs are pointing to Carlton Davis giving it a go. We'll see how things go in warm-ups today. It's going to be interesting as well if the Bucks could get their ground game going. Last week, we've seen both running backs make a mistake. They were hesitant to scamper on the ground. I think this week, with a little bit of rain mixed in with the need to get running backs going, I think the Bucks try and electrify their ground game today. I think that Fournette, Rojo, and company is in for a good day on the ground, and I think that the Bucks win this one by at least 10. Covering 13, that's going to be tricky. Could they do it? Absolutely. Should they do it? Absolutely. We've seen what Philadelphia did to Atlanta last week. That offensive line is trash. That offensive line on Atlanta is just straight trash. They don't stand a chance against our front seven. I expect the field day from JPP, Shaq, and then I could see at least 5 sacks. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I could see at least 5 sacks from this Buccaneers defense today, the way that Atlanta Falcons offensive line played last week against a much worse Philadelphia Eagles front seven than what the Bucks could bring to the table. So I think that the Bucks do dominate this game today, and I'm expecting a victory by at least 10.
But the question at hand is, are they going to cover the spread?
I think they will, and I think they will. I'm always hesitant on these bigger spreads, but if I had to pick if they will cover or not, I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to win by at least that 13.
I think they are too, but to your point, I don't feel 100% comfortable of it, mainly because it's not that the Falcons are any good. It's a divisional game, and typically these games can get sloppy, especially with the weather at hand. And I don't know if they're going to put up the light show that you would expect under normal conditions. So can they make this game interesting? I never count out the Falcons with that offensive firepower.
Correct.
Every time I do, they bust a parlay of mine. So I'm always hesitant in that. And then, of course, the over-under in that game is 52. That one's tricky too, because I feel like the Bucks are going to score, but are the Falcons going to score? If I had to take this game, and I'm steering clear of it, I think I would almost tease it. So if you get yourself a 7-point teaser, a full 7-point teaser, that would put the Bucks at -6.5, just having to win by a touchdown. And then you would get the over under down to 45. I like that a lot better, but I try to stay away from a lot of teasers because they both have to hit. And we all know how that happens with parlays. Parlays just typically are just fool's gold.
They're called teasers for a reason, they tease you, they trap you.
Yeah. And then they take your car and your wallet and your keys. Oh, wait a minute. That's a different show. Okay. All right. Rams invade Indianapolis. Joey, talk me into why the Colts are going to hang in today against the Rams.
Well, I'll start off by saying that, we got to be better, obviously, than last week. And I think we will be. I think this team's had a full week of practice finally under their belt after not being able to be together the entire offseason, with Wentz being out a lot, Darius Leonard being out a lot, Quentin Nelson out. This week, we got left tackle Eric Fisher back. He will be starting on the left side today, so that should help. So him, Nelson, and Kelly all back in line next to each other. And then, we just had a game plan of trying to run the ball down Seattle's throat last week and not use really our receivers at all. I think Carson Wentz, he has to try and push it downfield with the offensive line being healthier today. And with, the weapons being available minus T.Y. Hilton, you have to push the ball downfield and then let Taylor get the running game going. I think they try to pound, and teams are going to be too smart for that against us. So try and get the ball downfield. And defense can't let up big plays. Xavier Rhodes still out for us today, starting cornerback, but our D-line front seven is intact. We got to get pressure with DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard.
By the way, if you're just kind of waking up wondering what's going on in the world of fantasy football, if you do have Josh Jacobs, get him the heck out of your lineup. He will not play today. So that has been confirmed. It was already mentioned on Saturday, but it was absolutely confirmed early this morning. And we're still finding out what DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams will be doing. But Sean and Steven, when they join us at the top of the hour, Sean gives us what we call the MASH unit report and gives us all the injured guys to get them in and out of the lineup. Because all this news breaks in the first hour that we're on, and I can't do 7 things at once. I try, and then it's just.
I'll try and whenever I get news in of a big fantasy name out, I'll make sure to try and throw that out there as well amongst our hour.
I appreciate that, and then of course, when y'all hop off, anytime that you want to add info into the YouTube timeline feed so that we all see it, that'll be much appreciated as well.
Absolutely.
Right. So, setting the stage, this is the way the show will normally go. Last week, these guys were at the Colts game, and so this week will be our traditional show. The first hour is going to be Tones and Joey at 10:30 Eastern. Bobby's going to join us. Then these guys are going to jump off at the top of the hour. Stephen Trosh and Sean O'Toole will join us, and that's when we'll do our stardom sit-ems, is the last half hour of the show, like we've always done. So we go 10 to noon every Sunday, giving you a full hour to get done with the show, absorb what we told you, and either say these guys are idiots, or I'm going to take their advice and put them into your lineup. So we went into the Bucks game, went into the Rams game, the Colts game. I'll be honest with you, that Colts, normally I would be siding with taking the Colts in the points because it's an early kickoff, but they looked so bad in week 1. It makes me a little nervous, especially the line. The line play is what worried me the most. I'm kind of steering clear of this game. I know a lot of people are big on the Rams today, but I could see this being a sneaky either upset or cover. The over-under's 48. That seems a little high to me. I believe that these defenses will play a little better. I know you got firepower on both sides, but for them to hit 48, that means Jonathan Taylor's going to have to run for 150 yards.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like if the Colts win, we're talking about like a 21 or maybe a 24-20 type win. If the Rams win, I would think it would be much higher scoring. Moving on from that, we've got Titans Seahawks. That's another late kickoff, obviously, because it's in Seattle, 4:25 Eastern time. Titans are a 6-point underdog. The over-under is 54, and I, as a Titan fan, cannot tell you to take the Titans +6. They looked atrocious last week. I don't overreact in week one, but I will say this. I'm not going to lay my money down when I've seen a team play absolutely terrible in the first week. Do I think they'll play better? I mean, it's hard to play worse, right? But I don't know. What do you guys think? The over-under is 54. Excuse me. The over-under, the over-under is 54. Tennessee's getting 6 points. Either way, do you like any of these spreads either way? Either Seattle -6, Tennessee +6, or the over-under?
No, this is one of those things where I'm not comfortable taking either side here, although I do think Seattle wins this one at home. 6 points is a lot, especially to a team like Tennessee who came off a tough loss last week and they're looking to rebound this week. I mean, this week is huge for both Titans and Colts. Both teams are going to come prepared to play, but I'm not ready to take the over-under in that game or the spread one way or another. I'm staying far away from that one. I'm like you, Mac. I think Seattle probably, if I had to take, but I just -6 is a lot against a team like Tennessee.
Yeah, it is. Joey, I know you hate some Titans, but what say you in this one?
No, I mean, let's be honest. When you come off a loss like the Colts and Titans did and the good rosters both teams have, you're going to bring your best puncher's chance at the next game, and I think that's what the Titans will do. I don't think Seattle's going to cover, but I think they win in that 3 to 4 point range. I'm thinking maybe like a 27-24 or 24-21 type of deal. The Titans definitely need to step up and start out of the gate faster. But I think, the 12th man is also a hard thing to do, but that I can't lay all 6 points like you guys as well. Call us chickens, what have you. We're just being smart bettors, I think, because it's a lot of points for a team that, has high aspirations to make it to the Super Bowl and represent the AFC this year in Tennessee.
The only good news that you get is that you figure almost everyone else in the division is probably going to lose this week too. So I'm going to be very dialed into the Rams Colts game because I look at them as the only real concern for the division for the Titans. So if we both start off 0-2, I'm not worried about it. I would think the Browns are going to beat the Texans. So worst case scenario, we could be looking basically where we're at right now tomorrow morning, a game out of first place.
I'm doing the same thinking as you. It's so funny you say that. I'm going to be watching the Colts, obviously hardcore at noon, then Titans at 3:00 because like you said, and we play each other next week. So even if both of us start 0-2, for the AFC South purposes, week 3 is the start of the NFL season.
Yeah. At least that's what we're telling ourselves in the AFC South.
We have to.
Hey, at least Mac has his bases covered too with the Jaguars and Titans. He gets the 2-for-1 combo. I see the Jags jersey on right now.
Well, there's a couple of things here with this Jags jersey. It's an Allen Robinson jersey.
Oh wow!
Oh.
PSU baby.
Yeah, and I've got him in a couple of drafts that I did last night that were the snake drafts on DraftKings. So I figured just to bring him good luck, I was like, okay, here we go. Allen Robinson's a Penn State guy?
Yes, sir. He went to Penn State. Chris Godwin went to Penn State. Hamler went to Penn State. They got a little good string of wide receivers the past, decade or so.
I don't know why. I just don't remember Allen Robinson in a college for whatever reason. But I knew the other guys had. But yeah, Hamler's going to be interesting. Does he take the next step with the injury to Judy and become the guy, or is it the guy that I favor, which is Tim Patrick? I think there's a good chance that Tim Patrick ends up being the guy near the end zone, and Hamler's going to be the guy in between the 20s because he's He's so much more athletic. That's going to be an interesting story to follow. I don't feel 100 unless you're in a deeper league. I don't feel very comfortable of starting either guy today until I see something. But if you're in a pinch, they are playing the Jags defense. So
I heard that Benjamin Albright, a Denver Broncos contributor, he does his own radio show in the Denver area. He said, and he summed it up pretty well. He goes, if you're playing conservative and you want a guy who could rack up the catches, maybe not the touchdowns, might get some yardage, Tim Patrick. But if you're going for the home run ball, get Hamler. He says Hamler is going to be more of the home run deep yards threat. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but he was leaning more towards Hamler for now. I think Tim Patrick will be, the 9-catch, 60, 70-yard guy.
We have a question, by the way. PPR, start 3 of these guys, okay? So he's got Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase, Mike Williams, and Tyson Williams. So basically bench 1 of these guys. Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase, Mike Williams, and Tyson Williams. I'll go first. I think you have to start Mike Williams. I think he's going to have a huge day. Tyson Williams, I would be scared not to start him because I do think you're going to see him get more and more involved in the game. And he did make some catches out of the backfield and game flow would be the number one thing there. It really comes down to me, Deebo Samuel or Jamar Chase. I doubt Deebo's going to replicate what he did last week, but until Shanahan's come out and said that Ayuk's going to be more involved in the passing game. But until I see it, I think I have to go Deebo Samuel because I know what his floor is going to be. And Jamar Chase, it is a full point PPR. I guess that changes the answer a little bit, but I'm going Deebo. I'm going Mike Williams. And I think I want Tyson Williams because I know I'm going to get the load. Joey, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little different direction. And mine's more based off of, the defensive backs that are being played. And Debo's going against the Eagles, Chase against the Bears, trash secondary, and Mike Williams against Dallas. I know Green Bay's defense played very bad last week, but I think they're going to really step to the table on Monday Night Football and, do the exact opposite of what they did a week ago. So that being said, I'm going to sit the Lions Williams and start Deebo, Chase, and Mike Williams.
You said the Lions Williams? No, it's Tyson Williams.
Not Tyrell, Tyson. The Ravens running back.
Yeah. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna stick with it. I think the Chiefs come out fired up tonight. They play well, so I'm gonna stick with my 3 guys against those.
We've got another question here in a second, but I do want to get Tones' take.
Go ahead, Tom.
I would probably sit Tyson Williams in this one. Tyson Williams. The Ravens weren't really happy with his pass protection last week, and they elevated Devontae Freeman from their practice squad to their active roster this week. I think he's going to take.
Devontae Freeman's not going to be taking touches.
He's going to take.
We saw Devontae Freeman, which by the way, he's just gotten a little older. He's not taking touches away from Tyson.
He'll take some touches away from him. Goal line touches at that. He'll be on the goal line for sure. I will bet you my good money on that. But we'll see Devontae Freeman today. We'll see Latavius Murray today. I think Tyson Williams floats into the second or third running back role. He looked down and out last week after getting scolded for not being able to make a couple of blocks. Although he had a nice first half last week, I think the more running back he is the second half Tyson Williams we've seen. I would play Mike Williams, Jamar Chase, and Deebo Samuel. I like Deebo Samuel a lot. He exploded onto the scene last week. As Mac mentioned, Ayuk is kind of up in the air right now.
All right, the next question is Austin Eckler, Myles Gaskin. He's got to sit one of these guys. Just so you're just eliminating one name. Austin Eckler, Myles Gaskin, David Montgomery, Chris Carson. I'll go first. Sit Gaskins. I think that's an easy, cheesy pick because Montgomery should have a good day. Carson should have a pretty good day, and Eckler should be in a shootout. And there's no way I'm benching Eckler, unless I find out that his foot fell off or something. And even then, you can probably hop his way in. Tones, I'll start with you this time. Eckler, Gaskin, Montgomery, and Carson. Who you got?
This one's I'm shocked he has this many good running backs to choose from. If I had to bench one, honestly, I would bench Chris Carson this week.
What?
Yeah, I would bench Chris Carson this week. I think that Montgomery ran well last week, and I think the Bears will continue to try and establish the run this week. I think Miami's going to use Gaskin more this week, even more so than they did last week against the Bills. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a lot of good running backs to choose from. And like you said, you got to trot Eckler out there no matter what, unless his foot falls off. I don't like sitting any of these guys, but if I had to unwillingly pick one, it'd be Carson.
All right. Joey, what say you?
I'm agree with you. Sit Gaskin.
It's going to be sloppy there, and I get it, but Buffalo's defense is pretty darn good.
You're right.
And the way I look at it is, give me the guy going against Buffalo's defense. I don't want that. I'd much rather have the guy going against the Titans defense. And that's just, but I get it. If you've had shares of Carson, you've probably been burned by him before. Because you're like, what do you mean they pulled him out in the second quarter? What the heck's wrong with them? They go, well, his hamstring, it's not hurt, but it feels a little twingy, so he's going to sit down for a while. And you're like, what?
Yeah, and we actually have a question from my dad, from my pops who's watching. Zach Ertz or Mike Gesicki, non-PPR?
I'm going to lean Gesicki because I don't trust that. Because one thing I do know about Gesicki, he's the number one. Ertz is realistically the number two. What say y'all?
I'd go Gesicki too, and that ain't just my Penn State blood boiling. I agree. Gesicki's the number one there. Zach Ertz is more the number two, and obviously Zach Ertz has been trending down the past couple of years as Gesicki's been trending up. Gesicki's going to go off after bad day last week, good day this week.
And he should be the check down guy. So if nothing else, if it's a full point PPR, even half point PPR, I think he's going to get 4 or 5 catches today. Joey, agree or disagree?
Yeah, clean sweep here, especially with Goddard being the big weapon. And do it.
Okay. Next one, we got James Robinson, Claypool, or Debo. He's got to start one. Joey, I'll start.
Robinson, Claypool.
Can you say those names one more time?
Yeah, James Robinson, Claypool, or Debo Samuels.
I'm gonna go with Claypool.
Is that because he went to Notre Dame? Please answer the question, Senator.
No, as much as I love my team in South Bend there, Raiders defense pretty weak. I think the Steelers offense at home, they didn't click in that first half. You started to see some life in the second half. I think he comes down with a touchdown and at least 80 yards today.
What say you, Tones?
I know James Robinson didn't really get a good shake last week. I think this week he gets a lot more touches. I think Jacksonville knows in order to stay in the football game, James Robinson needs to be involved here. I'm sticking with James Robinson in my lineup.
That's risky. I gotta find out is Urban Meyer a mental patient or not? So I'd be worried putting James. What I mean, it's by far, without a doubt, obvious to everyone. Kind of like what I was saying about the Florida State quarterback. Like, why the heck is the worst quarterback in the game constantly? It was by far obvious the most talented running back on that field last Sunday was James Robinson, but they didn't feed him. And I think he's got something to do with the fact that Carlos Hyde was his guy when he coached him in college, all that kind of junk. I'd be a little worried starting Robinson. Claypool, I do like his matchup, but Debo Samuel, man, I have a hard time benching him after having such a big game. I get it that he's going to be in Philly. That place is going to be rocking. It's going to be a little more difficult, but I'm leaning Debo just because I do know that right now Debo's the number one in San Fran. If Ayuk starts getting play like they say he's going to get, okay, fair enough. But when Shanahan tells us a lot of things, one of the things he rarely tells us is the truth. All right, let's do the we got here the bold and cold predictions. We will start with you, Joey. What are your bold and cold predictions for today?
My bold and cold prediction of the day, I am going to be down on the Raiders. I don't think Darren Waller and that offense are going to get going. So I would stay away from anything involved with them. That Pittsburgh Steelers defense is vaunted. So even as a guy as good as Darren Waller, who Card goes to all the time, I'm a little bit down on the Raiders. And my bold prediction of the day is that the Carolina Panthers will upset the New Orleans Saints and Sam Darnold will take it home.
What does that got to do with fantasy football? We need bold and cold predictions of fantasy football.
Oh yeah, then I'm my arrow up. I'll have Jamar Chase in Cincinnati, Bears backfield. When you said bold and cold, I thought we could just talk. I didn't know what exactly line we were going with there. But for fantasy,
he is to read the text I send you. But anyways, go ahead.
Fantasy wise, Jamar Chase arrow up. He actually got mentioned in a question earlier. I believe the Bears defensive backfield is not on the high. And I also think Ingram did a good job last week for Houston. Stay away from him at Cleveland. That defensive line is vaunted. He won't get 80 yards and a touchdown. So I'm down on Waller and Ingram, and I'm up on Jamar Chase.
Jones, what say you? Bold and cold predictions.
Bold and cold predictions. I will say first we'll start with the cold prediction here. I think a guy who's going to fall short this week of his expectations after a big week one. Jared Goff, he threw for a lot of yardage last week. I know he moved up to the 6% starting mark. He was at the 1% starting mark last week. Now he's at the 6% starting mark in CBS leagues. That means 5% more people bought stock into Jared Goff this week than they did last week. And although he's, at Green Bay, who got pulverized by the Saints last week, I do not see him replicating that. But then in terms of bold predictions, I'm going to stick with Tyrod Taylor. I think he's turning into a QB1 here. I'm going to say it now. By the time this fantasy football season is over, I firmly believe that Tyrod Taylor will be a QB1 on fantasy football teams. He could run, he could throw. The Texans need this guy, and this guy's been ready for the smack. I mean, this guy has been screwed out of starting situations that he's been in before. He's been priming to be a starting QB in the NFL. The one time he brought the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs, and now he's starting on a Texans team that a lot of people are hating on. He has Brandon Cooks there, and Brandon Cooks seems to be productive every year. He's in the NFL, although a lot of people overlook that. And then running backs, I like Tyrod Taylor to stay hot today at Cleveland. I think they're going to have to throw the ball out.
Okay. My bold and cold prediction, real quick, cut to the chase. Ronald Jones Jr., cold prediction. Don't believe what an old poker hat tells you. Oh, he's going to be our starting running back. Blah blah blah. Ronald Jones sucks, and anyone that doesn't know Ronald Jones sucks, they're not paying attention.
He does not suck. I will dispute that.
He sucks.
He does not suck. He was one of the NFL's leading.
I know you're a Bucks fan. He sucks.
How do you explain
Leonard Fournette? Leonard Fournette is the guy they leaned on in the playoffs. Giovanni Bernard is going to be the guy that they're going to get involved in the passing game. Do not start Ronald Jones Jr., the third, whatever he is. He sucks. I'm talking about in fantasy. I'm not talking about in real football. In fantasy football, you cannot count on him. My bold prediction is Mike Williams. Mike Williams is ranked 27th among receivers this week. That is ridiculous. Mike Williams should shoot up. If he is on your roster, don't even think about it. Unless you have like a one wide receiver roster, right? You are starting Mike Williams. So make sure that you get Mike Williams in your lineup. That should be a shootout. So I'm not attacking your Buccaneers. I'm not attacking him as a person. I'm saying Ronald Jones, as a fantasy guy, I can't do it. I can't do it. He's constantly 14 carries, 38 yards, fumbles the ball. Leonard Fournette, and I know what they're going to do. They're saving Fournette for the stretch run. They know they don't need Fournette to do a whole lot. Till Brown, what do you think they'll get him going around week 12?
Fournette by week 12, he's going to be, probably the primary back like we've seen throughout the playoffs last year. But again, I think Ronald Jones has a chance to find the end zone today. He might be touchdown.
I could be wrong, but if he does, he's very touchdown dependent if you start him.
I was just going to say he could be touchdown dependent.
Even against that terrible Falcons defense, excuse me. I still think there's more likelihood that Brady ends up finding Evans in the end zone a couple of times today. All right. We got another one. You got to start 2. Okay. Start 2. Nelson Aguilar, Robbie Anderson, Zach Pasquale, and James Conner. Got to start 2. And it is a full point PPR. Tones, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna say I'm going with Robbie Anderson. I think that we see more Lattimore on DJ Moore, or the Saints' #1 corner more so on DJ Moore this week, and I think that Robbie Anderson gets less attention. I think Sam Darnold will try and find him, so I say start him. And then I think James Conner. I just think that Conner is going to find his way to the end zone today. Although Edmonds is obviously the go-to guy there, I just think James Conner is going to wiggle his way into the end zone last week, and it'll be interesting to see how James Conner does. But we've seen him have a productive week last week, 16 carries for 53 yards. I think a lot of people were shocked how many carries he did get last week.
Joey, what say you?
Yeah, and obviously a Colts fan, but Pascal 2 touchdowns last week. Hard to ignore that. I think around the goal line, Wentz is actually liking him a decent amount. When things get tough, he seems to be the guy that gets those tough catches. He's not going to be your big play guy, but he's going to be your goal line possession receiver. So I'm going to go Pascal, and then I'm going to agree with Tones on the second one. I'm going to go James Conner. I think we see a lot more of him today. I think he finds his way in the end zone, as well as Edmonds and him. I think are going to be a little bit of flash back and forth.
Welcoming onto the show, Mr. Bobby the Kid. I don't know if you heard the question or not, but start 2 in a full point PPR. You going Aguilar, Robbie Anderson, Pascal, or James Conner? Got to start 2 of those 4.
For one, I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson. I know he had kind of a down week last week. He did have that big touchdown, but it was only 3 targets. I anticipate that going up. Tone said, with Marshawn Lattimore guarding DJ Moore this week, I anticipate Robbie Anderson getting a lot more targets. I think he'll have a solid game. And then for the number 2, it's kind of up in the air between Pascal and Conner. I'd honestly go Conner here, though. My only concern is, Kyler and Chase Edmonds potentially taking away goal line carries from him. But I think Conner will put up enough points to be worth starting this week.
I think Robbie Anderson is the slam dunk in this one, without a doubt. And because it's a PPR and because they're playing the Jets, I'm going to lean with Aguilar. I don't have a lot of confidence in him. I would probably rank it as Aguilar and then Conner and Pascal in that order, because the thing about Pascal is usually when a receiver who's not a dominant receiver gets 2 touchdowns, one week you usually see a drought the following week. So that concerns me. Connor's probably got a better chance of getting into the end zone, but because it's a full point PPR, if it was a standard league, I would say definitely do Conner. I'm going to say go Robbie Anderson and go Nelson Aguilar. And I hate being touchdown dependent when I put a guy in. I look at it as I want the volume, and then if the touchdowns come, they come. All right. Where are we at here next on the lineups of integrity DFS? All right. I don't know who's actually got their information ready to roll, but I'll go ahead and try to start with, I believe Tones looks like that he's ready. He looks like he's organized. Tones,
I got mine all pulled up whenever you're ready for me to go.
Okay. So we'll go Tones, then we'll go Bobby, and then we'll go Joey. We're going to give you our DFS lineups. And we got 2 more coming up at the top of the hour. Tones, what say you? Where are you going today?
Well, with my DFS lineup, obviously with weather conditions, it could play a factor. But I do have my man Tom Brady at quarterback today. He won the air.
Of course you do.
It could be a little bit of a homer pick, but he did win the Air Player of the Week last week. The Atlanta defense is just trash. I mean, they are just so bad. Although Bruce Arians came out and said they're looking to run more today, look, Tom Brady is going to throw some touchdowns to Mike Evans, Gronk. It's going to be a good day for the Brady bunch on offense, you would hope. And then at running backs, I got Mac talked highly of, even though he might not pop out till later. I think he still has a productive game this week. I got Leonard Fournette and I got James Robinson one guy that Mac did not think would do too great. I got James Robinson and Leonard Fournette as my 2 running backs this week. And then my wide receivers, I tried to beef up 2 big guns. I got Stephon Diggs and Chris Godwin as my 1-2. Godwin against Atlanta, Stephon Diggs. Not that he had a down week last week by any means, but for his standards, they were a little down. So I think he just goes off this week. And then I got Juju Smith as my number 3. Little touchdown dependent there, but he's going against the Raiders, so you never know what happens. Then I was running a little low on money, so I had to bounce to CJ Uzama, Bengals tight end. I think he could get by that Bears defense. So Bears defense did not look good. They looked like trash last week, although it was against the Rams. But Bengals offense put up some points last week. I think CJ could find his way to the end zone. Then I got Antonio Brown, my man in the flex. So I'm rolling out a lot of bucks today. I got Brady, Fournette, Godwin, and Brown against the putrid Falcons. And then here's a little bit of a shocker, but I think they're going to come to play last week after I was disappointed, or this week instead. I was disappointed at him last week. I got Colts defense against the Rams this week. I think they get pressure on Stafford. I think they get a handful of sacks in this one. And I think this week the Rams are bounced back a little bit.
All right, Bobby, yours real quick. What you got?
At quarterback, I got Justin Herbert for 6,700. He's going up against a weak Cowboys defense, specifically the secondary. I like him a lot this week. At running back, I got Kamara for 8,800 going up against Carolina. He wasn't my favorite pick for the more expensive running backs, but for his price, I think he'll put up a solid amount of points and be worth it for sure. My second running back is David Montgomery going up against Cincinnati. I think he'll have a big week this week, as he did last. I think he'll prove to be one of the best running backs in fantasy football and even the league in whole this year. My number 1 receiver, Keenan Allen, for 7,000. I think he'll have a big week. Just like I said, him and Herbert, I think they're going to go off against the Cowboys secondary. My second receiver is Devontae Smith for 5,400. With Jason Verrett tearing his ACL in week 1 for the Niners, that secondary looks pretty depleted. So I think Devontae Smith, as he did last week, I think he'll have another big game. And then my third receiver, Robert Woods, for 5,700. I anticipate him having a big game. The Colts secondary is not the best. I think, and the Stafford and Woods connection, I think it's going to show out this week. I think there'll be a lot of deep balls, and I think he'll be hauling some in. Jared Cook, my tight end for the Chargers. I'm going with the third Charger in this lineup. He was only 3,900. The Cowboys didn't do a great job at stopping tight ends last week. Gronk specifically. I think they ranked 29th last week stopping the tight ends in fantasy. So I'm going with Jared Cook at 3,900. For my flex, I got Anthony Schwartz. He is listed as questionable right now, but for 3,300, I think he could be a little bit of a steal. He was involved in some deep passes last week with Odell being out for the Browns, and I think if he does play today, I think he'll be worth his money. In my defense, for only 3,000, which I was surprised to see him this low with how much sacks they got last week, the Steelers. I think they'll have a big week. They are going up against the Raiders, who have a very weak offensive line, and they did look good on Monday night against the Ravens. But I think the Steelers are going to get a lot of pressure against Vegas. And I think Minka is going to do a good job holding Waller to a limited amount of catches.
All right, and Joey, real quick, what say you?
Quarterback, I got Dak Prescott. He's going up against at LA. I think that's going to be a high-scoring shootout. Running back number 1, I have Jonathan Taylor, as he needs a bounce-back week against the Rams. Running back number 2, I actually have Chase
Make
Edmonds.
sure you give their prices, man, because that's kind of the name of the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have prices up on my board right now.
Well, then how did you put your roster together?
I mean, you do it through the app. The price is already in the app. My lineup fits the prices. It's pretty, if I have a lineup made with all the way down to $0, pretty easy to tell it's a lineup made through DraftKings.
All right, go ahead.
I got Jonathan Taylor as my running back 1. Chase Claypool is my receiver number 1. Allen Robinson is my receiver number 2. I got Kyle Pitts at my tight end. I have Cortland Sutton is my receiver 3. Ronald Jones, I know we talked negative on earlier. He's going to get in the end zone. Falcons defense is trash. He'll get in there 1 or 2 times. And then the Bucs defense is the Falcons. I mean, we're abysmal against an abysmal Eagles team.
All right.
Mac, if you want, my price is quick. Brady was 6,900, Robinson 6,400, Fournette 5,100, Diggs 7,700, Godwin 6,600, Juju 5,700, CJ Uzama 3,000, Antonio Brown 6,000, Colts D 2,500.
Yeah, I probably should have been more clear about that. When you bring I just assumed that you'd have the app in front of you, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, typically when we do this, we give the prices so that someone who's filling in there is out and going, wait a minute, where is this guy? I'll do mine super quick. I'm going Herbert at 6,700. I think he's going to have a big day. I'm leaning hard into this game, by the way. It's probably going to come back to bite me when it's like a 7-3 final. Nick Chubb 7,800 against Cleveland. I really like him today. And then Montgomery against the Bengals, he's 6,100 today. So I think those are two affordable running backs that should have big days. Then I went Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, 7,000, 6,100 respectively. I'm expecting 4 or 5 touchdowns from Herbert today, and that's why I'm leaning big into this. And then I went with Mike Evans today at 6,100. He was kind of ignored in game 1. We all know what happens with that with wide receivers. They chirp, the diva gets the ball. Then next week, someone else won't get. They'll go, oh, whatever happened to Godwin? Does he? And then he'll get the ball. So I'm going with that. I know it's kind of a risky play when you got Tom Brady involved because he doesn't pay attention to any of that stuff. He's like, shut up, we're winning, and just be happy. And pass me the avocado ice cream. Jared Cook, 3,900. If I'm gonna go all in, I might as well go all in. And so I tried to save money on my tight end. So basically, I'm hoping he finds his way into the end zone. Not expecting him. And so then I went, and so because I did all that, I had to kind of go a deep dive on my flex. And I'm going to take a risk that Osborne of Minnesota, it ends up in a shootout and he gets some production. And that left me with $3K left over for my defense. And I took the Steelers as well. So
you have a pretty similar lineup, I'd say. Me and you?
Yeah, I believe so. I've done.
Did you guys FaceTime while doing it together?
Spooning.
We got Herbert, Montgomery, Allen,
what do you
Cook,
think?
and Steelers.
Yeah. Now I just that's the one game that I feel very confident is going to be a shootout, and so because of that, I have a hard time benching. I was a little surprised. It all started with me being surprised how low Herbert was. And when that started, I was like, all right, well, then how low is, I actually put Mike Williams in first. And then I saw that Allen's wasn't that much more expensive anyways. We can go on and on about this, but that's kind of how I built it. And then I started going, all right, well, what do I have left over for running backs? And then I got him down the flex, go, uh-oh.
I'd say Stafford's another guy for a pretty fair price. I think he was about 6,400.
Right, but I believe in stacks when it comes to DFS. I believe you want the quarterback to receive. I normally don't do 2 receivers and a tight end on a stack, but I just kind of went out of control. And so we do keep track of these. And last week Steven won, so he's leading the race. But we just began this, so we'll do updates for. I don't see yours entered in yet. Tones, so don't forget to put yours in before into that specific one I sent you before kickoff. All right, where are we at next? All right, well, let's go into some actual lines talk. We're going to walk the line and talk about some of these. Let me see here. Do we have another? All right, I don't know. Brian Cook would just put a hashtag Noah Fant. I don't know if that means that he retired or if he's just picking Noah Fant up and down the board. All right, so let's go into the lines this morning, and there's a lot of interesting ones across the board, but I'm interested to see where Joey. I'll start with you. We'll go ahead and do our. We'll start doing y'all's locks now, so that way if we run out of time, we get to it. What is your one lock, your one pick against the spread that if you're going to put your mortgage on, you say that's the one that I like today of all the
take me to the hard steel workers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Raiders had a big win last week, but they are not going to show up offensively today. That Steelers defense is vaunted. I know that they're laying about 5.5. I currently have it on my side of
7.
things,
It's a 7-point spread.
and I'm still taking it at 7 because they're gonna blow out the Raiders today at home on their home field. I think that they have a big.
I had them circled about an hour ago to take, because I always do all this, and then after the show ends, I'll start putting my own bets down. And I had them circled. It's jumped a full point in just an hour.
Yeah, that would threw me a little bit off because like I said, I was seeing 5.5, 6 about before we did the show. Now you're saying up to 7. So that's a little bit scary.
Nervous is what it does, right?
But yeah, and honestly, knowing that, I want to mention another lock of mine because that changed so fast would be the Panthers and the points at home against the Saints. Everyone's going to be on the Saints today. I love the Panthers and the points at home.
Plus 3.5.
Correct.
So are you changing your lock or
since it jumped to 7, I'm going to change my lock because that's a big jump. That's a full touchdown. Yep. Panthers plus 3.5.
Fair enough. Tones, what is your lock of the day?
After Bobby's over with Kentucky yesterday, it's got me feeling a little over under in my blood. So I was looking at the over unders this morning, and I am going with the I'm going with the over. I'm sorry, in the Texans Browns game. It's sitting at 48 points right now. I think, the Browns will get in the 30s themselves. And I think the Texans offense will score at least one late touchdown and one legit touchdown. I'm seeing them combine at least into the 50s in this one, outdoing that pace of 48. Texans offense did not look that bad last week. Browns offense obviously looked good. I think 48's a little too low for the over under. I like the over in that one.
All right. Bobby, we'll go ahead and do yours now, and then I'll save mine for next hour with the other guys as we end it. What is your lock of the day, sir?
I'm going to take Buffalo minus 3.5 against Miami. The last week they lost against the Steelers. They went up against a very good defense. It was a tough match for them. But this week, as much as I do like Xavier and Howard, I think Stephon Diggs and Allen are going to have a big week. I think they're going to bounce back, and I think they're going to have a big win.
Man, if I would have known that, I would have waited till next hour because Steven's a big Dolphins fan. I'd have been like, introducing Steven. Bobby, what is your what is your lock?
I think Miami's going to get smacked.
I think the Dolphins are going to get smacked like the Hurricanes did. Those are all very interesting. Let's kind of go around and see if there's any other picks that y'all are kind of looking at. Obviously, we've already done the locks, but Joe, you already mentioned the Pittsburgh one. I am intrigued by that. I do think Pittsburgh's going to win that, especially when anytime you got a short week and you got a team going West Coast, East Coast off a short week. I always tend to like the home team, but the fact that line keeps going up and up and up. I'm going to be interesting to see where it is around kickoff. If it'll stay under 7, I'll probably take Pittsburgh, but I'm starting to think that the public is just doing a mad rush. And once there's an overcorrection, you end up getting a situation where it's too good not to take the Raiders. One of the lines that I do like that we haven't talked about yet is the Eagles at home getting 3 points. It's once again, it's another West Coast, East Coast game. That is going to be the first home game in Philadelphia in 2 years. And with fans in the stands, excuse me. I think that place is going to be rocking. I think San Fran is a good chance they're going to have a hangover going into that game. And the second time they've gone East in 2 weeks. And I always tend to like the Eastern team, especially with the Eagles, look pretty darn good. What say y'all? Would you be willing to think about Philadelphia plus 3?
I know right off the bat, I would be. That was one of the games I had written down as being home. I like taking the points early in the season, especially against a San Fran team that they had their ups. I know they were up big last week, but then they let Detroit back in. So I'm a fan of the Eagles. I would take the points at home. I'm also in that same division as another bet I like. I like the Cowboys getting the points. I think everybody's very high on the Chargers because of the young, good offensive, Herbert in the game. But, Dallas learned how to put up points. They got an extra few days off. yes, losing DeMarcus Lawrence was big, but I think their offense isn't going to stop rolling. And I think it's going to be for the Chargers to get off the field. So I agree with the Eagles, and I also like the Cowboys +3.
Joe, what about you? I'm sorry, Tones. What about you? Excuse me.
I like I'm gonna go opposite here. I like San Fran to cover the -3 today. I think that they kind of let the Lions sneak back into that game last week, and the Lions ended up backdoor covering. And although Verrett is out for the season with that brutal injury, as Bobby mentioned, I just think San Fran gets it together this week. They lost Mostert as well, so never easy. A couple big week 1 injuries, but I like them winning by a touchdown today. I think that they got something going on offense, and if Ayuk keeps getting more and more involved, to me, that's only good things for their offense. And you're going to get Debo and Ayuk. That could be a lethal wide receiver duo. And then you got Kittle. I like San Fran covering today.
Sean sorry, I'm getting out of character, but Sean just sent me a tweet of a video. I'm going to retweet it so everyone else can find it after the show or whatever. But of the Michigan State Miami game where they're talking about the University of Miami having great athletes. Michigan State catches the ball in the flat, and this safety from Miami went diving past the guy who had the ball to hit someone who wasn't even involved in the play. It's just the gift. It reminds me of when the University of Florida was blocking its own man against Georgia Southern 5-6 years ago, and they're just going through the motions. Like it's one of the funniest things I've seen.
They said it was like a Madden glitch that happened in real life, like the defensive,
or even worse, like Tecmo Bowl because it's ridiculous. Bobby, what? Sorry, I didn't mean to change the subject, but that got me laughing so damn hard. I was like, what am I looking at? And I thought the video had been messed with. I was like, this isn't real. Bobby, what say you?
All right, I'm kind of scared of this matchup. Like everybody else has said, 49ers really let the Lions get back in that game last week. They shouldn't have. They had that game put away, but the Lions stormed right back. But if I had to choose, I would take the 49ers covering the spread. I think they're a significantly better team. I think the Eagles' win last week was more of a product of the Falcons just being really bad. And I think the 49ers win by a decent margin, probably by about a touchdown.
The one thing I always tell people, especially people who are new to betting, this isn't a video game. You don't just fire it up and the better roster wins. You always got to look at the circumstances. And I'll trust me, I've lost a lot of money over the years not looking at the circumstances. And you always have to look at who did they just play, where did they play, and when did they play, and where are they playing now, and where's and it shouldn't. These are professionals. It shouldn't, but it matters when your hometown. It's 10 a.m. in the kickoff of where you're actually playing at, right? And you're like, my God, if I'm back home, realistically, I got up at 5:00 this morning to play this football game, and they just run out of gas. And I also find it odd that a team that won by so much on the road in week 1 in the NFL is a dog at home. It almost seems like that they're just begging you to take Philly, which could be a trap game. That's why I won't make it my lock, because I feel like it could be a trap game. Any other lines that jump out at you, Joey, as we go to head on out of here for the first hour and welcome in the next guys?
If I had to look at one more game that I would definitely take, I think I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take Kansas City tonight in the late game. I think just Baltimore is very banged up. They have.
What's the line you got on that right now?
I have 3.5. Chiefs -3.5. I don't know if that has changed. Like the Steelers blew up in my face.
On mine, it's 4, but I don't know if you're looking at yours live or not. So
even 3.5, 4. I like the Chiefs tonight. I think they score way too many points. In Baltimore, I know they're at home. It's their first home game, but I didn't like what I saw against the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are as good as they showed last week, and I was disappointed in Baltimore. And the Chiefs, I mean, they're only going to get better to me as the season goes along here with the new offensive line they have. So I like the Chiefs in the night game.
And what's your one big thing that's going to happen today that everyone's going to be talking about? Ronald Jones Jr. is going to score 4 touchdowns. Screw you, McGee.
My one big thing is that Justin Fields will be the starter by the end of the game, and that one the Chicago Bears will not.
God, I hope so. God,
I'm saying that for my Chicago fans back home. They need.
you know how many shares I have of Justin Fields just waiting for him to start? I've got a couple of leagues where you can argue I don't have a starting quarterback until Justin Fields begins his thing.
Yeah, I know. I think the Bengals get up early. You hear a lot of boo birds. Fields comes in, and they never look back.
Tones, give me one more spread that you're liking and your one big thing today.
I like Dallas +3, but I actually like Dallas money line. I know we're talking spreads, but Dallas money line underdog times 140. So that means I love the +3, although I like what the Chargers were able to do on the road last week and escape in Washington. I think Dallas is due for victory after a hard fought loss last week. We'll see what happens there. One big takeaway I have from around the league this week is a lot of overreactions will be simmered down, and one of my main overreactions that will simmer down, I think Jameis Winston throws a couple interceptions today. Jameis Winston has a hard time on the road against
God. Winston's a god.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to step on God's toes here real quick, but yeah, I think that Jameis struggles a little more today than he did last week. I think we're going to see a little more incompetent football coming from that Saints side of the ball. They just don't have the playmakers going right now either. And this Carolina defense is it's a beast at home. It's another beast. It's not like the Packers.
The last quarterback to win a national championship in the state of Florida. Unless you count the 7 that UCF keeps claiming that they won, but you know.
Hey, and I love Jameis, but you know he's now a rival.
That LASIK surgery, buddy, it's over. He's heading straight to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, his Hall of Fame trajectory is in oppo direction now. No, but I think we
something in 15 years from now we're going to go, are you kidding me? All he needed was LASIK surgery.
I'm starting to think you wrote the book Jameis 1 of 1, how Jameis is on his way to the Hall of Fame. That book's actually on or Amazon and whatnot. There's some dude who wrote how Jameis is on the way to the Hall of Fame. So
I'm
it'll be
coming
interesting.
out with a new book tomorrow. It's called I Remember When We Didn't Suck, and Jameis Winston's going to be on the cover of Florida.
Well, put Jimbo Fisher on there too.
All right, guys. Well, great job. We'll see you next week. Joey, we'll see you Thursday, right? And then
yes, sir.
Tones, we'll see you next Saturday morning, and of course, both of them are here on Sunday morning. Great job. Sean and Steven are on the way. Bobby's hanging around. I'm hanging around. We're going to take a quick break just to kind of reset, catch our breath, and go pick up Ronald Jones Jr. in all of our fantasy leagues. We'll be back last year on the Armchair Quarterbacks. You're listening to the Handicappers.
This is the part in the Lifetime movie version where I get up to pee.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Almost Good Beer. Remember, Ed's Almost Good Beer was brewed in God's country when God wasn't looking.
What's going on here, guys?
All right, coach. So basically, it was a holding call. But these dudes started me in their fantasy league, which is cool because this dude started our quarterback, but he started our kicker and I started their defense. So it's kind of a pickle.
Compromising the integrity of this game with your fantasy football leagues? Listen to me. If there was holding, you make that holding call. I don't care if it was on our team or not. I care about this game too much to let you.
Coach, you started their defense too, didn't you?
Yeah, you definitely started their defense.
Damn right I did.
Armchair.
People might walk up to you occasionally and they might want to just take a picture with you and say, congratulations, great work. With me, they want to debate. My life is harder.
Well, Steven, here's what I want you to realize. A, you're lying. Nobody comes up to you. Okay? Stephen A. Smith does not have one fan. Not one. There's never been a request for a picture. There's never been a request for a debate. You are you're snap finger famous. That's the guy. That's the, what's the guy that's
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Take me out to the ball.
Good morning. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Welcoming on Stephen Troche and Sean O'Toole. And I feel like Sean's in disguise. I can't figure out what he's doing, but he's got a stash. Is that a Groucho Marx thing? Like a stash in the glasses and everything like that. I can't tell if that's real or if that's Memorex. And Stephen Troche, how are you?
Well, I mean, I watched the Hurricanes game yesterday, so I mean, I couldn't say I'm great, but I'm ready for some football, and hopefully the Dolphins don't get killed today.
I feel your pain, buddy. Sean, how are you?
Won $35 on Michigan State, so I loved watching the Miami game yesterday. And to answer the questions you might have, the mustache is simply a construct to hide all the gray in my face, and the glasses were prescribed by a doctor. So I am not doing a Carlos the Jackal impersonation.
Well, I didn't know if a Bobby Valentine was joining us today. Like, Sean, I know that's you, man. Stop it. I couldn't. Well, because of the way the background is, I couldn't tell if those were shades or if those were actual glasses. No,
these are blue light blocking glasses because I'm in my 40s and I stare at computer screens in my 9-to-5 job.
Well, I'd rather everyone have glasses, wear glasses that need glasses, so you're not just guessing. I don't know. So, fair enough. Before we get into the MASH report, we do have a fantasy question real quick. Aguilar or Fournette, and it's in a flex PPR. Steven, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go Fournette here, only because I think that he has the much better matchup, and we just don't know what Aguilar's workload is going to be like.
Sean, what say you?
I'm going to agree, but be very, very careful about that Tampa Atlanta game because if they're up 31-3 in the third, it's going to be Rojo and whoever their third string is, and Kyle Trask is going to be in. So, you're in trouble if that game's as advertised.
Well, but you can't change your mind.
Yeah, you can't change your mind. Yeah.
Well, since the score's 31-3 at the half, I'm going to go ahead and pull him out of the lineup. Wait a minute, Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Fournette as well here. I like his matchup a lot. I think I could see him getting into the end zone 1 or 2 times today. And Aguilar, I'm still iffy on him with Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne as well, taking targets from him. He's not really a sure thing in fantasy yet, so I'll go with Fournette there.
We've got Bobby with us? I didn't know they let you use Zoom inside of KinderCare. This is insane. What's going on?
Whatever.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi there.
Yeah, so I'm going to make it a clean sweep. Kind of like what Bobby laid out there. Like it doesn't matter that he's been gone for 2 seasons. I still don't trust receivers for the New England Patriots until I see Jacoby Myers do what we think he's going to do. I don't even want to put him in. I got him on benches, but I'm really, really skeptical on putting him in the lineup. So if I'm not going to put Meyer in the lineup, I'm not going to put Aguilar in the lineup. I do believe the game will be closer than 31-3. And so I think Fournette will be heavily involved. I could see them pulling away in the fourth quarter, but it's supposed to be sloppy in Tampa Bay, the weather, not just the Falcons' offensive line. And so I've got to go Fournette. I just think it's a safer play. All right. So with that being said, we'll turn the page literally and figuratively. Steven, what's your cold and bold predictions?
So cold prediction, I've got I actually got two of them here. First one is Darren Waller going against Pittsburgh. I think, not really, I think Pittsburgh has just been very good against tight ends the past few years. And Waller is the number one option, and they're going to do everything they can to stop him. I mean, like we saw basically a ceiling game last week, minus like an extra touchdown. He's going to be under 100 yards, under 10 catches, and I'd be surprised if he catches a touchdown. And then just riding the logic from last week, Dalvin Cook. I think Minnesota's going to have to be throwing a lot in that game, and I don't think he's going to be getting the workload that he's used to seeing.
Sean, what are your cold and bold predictions today?
My cold prediction is there's a lot of public money on the Saints and a lot of belief in the Saints. I'm going to give you a few pieces of actual data and then a few anecdotal ones. They did not actually move the ball as well as you thought they did last week. They were handed short fields on 4 of 5 touchdowns they scored, which was indicated by Jameis's passing numbers relevant to the number of touchdowns that he had. They're missing 5 offensive coaches, 7 coaches in total for virus protocols. They're also missing a member of the offensive line, and they're going into Carolina. A lot of sharp money has come in on that game in the last couple of days, which pushed the line from 4-3. Telling you, either bet Carolina or stay off this game. I smell disappointment for anybody putting a lot on the Saints. And my bold take is the one thing I was bullish on for the Lions coming into the season was how they would run the ball because of all the talent on the offensive line. I think they're going to run at will tomorrow night. So if you've got Swift, if you picked up Jamal Williams, they split the carries 50-50 last week. They each had 25 touches. I think it was 27 for Jamal and 25 for Swift when you count his receptions. I don't know which one to start, but if you want to start both, the Packers have already lost Zadarius Smith for what looks like at least most of the season. I think the Lions are going to come out and they're going to run the ball at will on the Packers. So that's my cold and bold.
We already did ours earlier, but just to hit mine real quick again, Mike Williams is my bold prediction, and my cold prediction is Rojo. Bobby, what was your cold and bold again?
I don't think I did mine yet.
Oh, you did?
So I'll go ahead and do it now. Yeah. One of them was Waller, which has already been mentioned, but I'll go ahead and double down on that. Against the Steelers defense, which looked like probably the best defense in football last week. He'll be going up against Minkah Fitzpatrick most likely, and I don't expect him to have a huge game like he's anticipated to most weeks. But my other one is James Robinson. I believe Carlos Hyde, he had more carries than him last week, and I thought that'd be a problem going into the season, and that's why I typically stayed away from him in fantasy. James Robinson, although he does put up big numbers, he's not really a fantastic running back, and Carlos Hyde kind of stole the show a little bit last week, and Denver's defense is also pretty good.
He's a good quarterback. He doesn't have a fantastic head coach is what the problem is. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. And my boom, I got 3 of them, but my favorite one is Devontae Smith this week. I mentioned him earlier in my lineup. He's going up against the defense that just lost Jason Verrett, and he had a big week last week. I could see him replicating that as well this week.
All right, Sean, hit us with the MASH report.
All right. So MASH report really quick. I'm going to give us the outs and the questionables before I give us the ins. Out is Josh Jacobs. He is not going to play. So if you have that Kenyon Drake stock or you are really struggling at running back and he's still available in your waiver wire, I know there's been a lot of action on him in the last 24 hours. But if he's still there, go grab Kenyon Drake if you feel so inclined. I don't know that they're going to be able to run on Pittsburgh on a short week, but if you're struggling that much, you might want to take a look at him. Odell Beckham Jr. still out. Stefanski says just hasn't seen the progress he's wanted to. That's not a heavy throwing offense anyways, but that's a game today where if you're interested in taking some flyers on some receivers that might be lower down the board, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper could be good gets for you. Will Fuller, again, somewhat disappointingly out for Miami, was scheduled to come back off his PED suspension, but is out with an undisclosed personal issue, which we don't have any idea what that is because Flores is very Belichick-like in his refusal to give the media extra crumbs, which I kind of like about Rof. I kind of like that about Flo. So we'll see what comes of that.
He's got to make a run down to the border to get more PEDs. Is
Probably. In the Dallas Chargers game, Michael Gallup is an out. That simply just increases, your Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin stock with them not having maybe as many 3 receiver packages on the field, more 2 tight end packages, but Cooper and Lamb would have been your best plays anyways. And Rashad Penny is out in the Seattle and Tennessee game, which is very, incidental. since Chris Carson's the number one. Questionables. DeAndre Swift is listed as questionable, but Dan Campbell has said all week he's going to give it a go. Again, he had an off-season groin injury that almost required surgery, but did not. And as I mentioned in my cold and bold, that was reflected in the game script last week. He had 25 total touches. Jamal Williams had 27. And I think that's how they'll go throughout the game. Michael Pittman Jr. is scheduled as questionable, but Frank Reich has said all week he believes both him and Paris Campbell are going to give it a go. We'll talk about that later. I'm a total stay away on that game. I don't know what to think of that game at all. But Pittman Jr. is nominally the number one receiver in that offense. So if you drafted him as such, I would keep an eye on Schefter's tweets and just keep an eye on the pregame and make sure that he is a full go. But Reich says he's going to give it a go. And some ins really quick. Some good news. Zach Moss is in for Buffalo. Again, he kind of shares the load with Singletary and is really more of the Thunder to Singletary's lightning. So in short yardage situations, if you're trying to vulture some touchdowns, especially in DFS, Moss is going to give it a go, as is Gabriel Davis, who's become somewhat of a really underrated second or third receiver in that offense and is a guy that Allen looks to a lot, especially on deep shots and those whole corner routes against cover two. A.J. Brown's going to give it a go for Tennessee. He was listed as questionable early in the week. He's off the questionable report, kind of had a little hamstring thing, but he's going to go for that Tennessee-Seattle game. One quick one for Tampa Bay. It looks like Peyton Barber is going to be activated, which is – I'm sorry, that's not Tampa Bay. That's San Francisco. Sorry. Peyton Barber is going to be activated, as is Trey Sermon. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. All reports out of San Francisco are that Elijah Mitchell, who most people, myself included, blew a fifth of their fab budget on in week one, is going to be the guy getting the lion's share of the carries at Philadelphia against a really good defensive line. So, proceed accordingly. And that's the mash unit for this week.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the DFS lineup of integrity, and then we'll go to our team build. Steven, we'll go to you first. What is your lineup of integrity?
So I'm going a little bit bold this week. Sean and I talked about this game a little bit last night. I think we're going to see a comeback from Tannehill and the Titans. So my main stack here is I'm going Tannehill with A.J. Brown, and I'm running it back with DK Metcalf. Last week was a Tyler Lockett week. We go back to Seattle. They get fans there.
What are you paying for those guys?
So Tannehill's at 6,300, AJ Brown is at 6,900, and Metcalf is at 76. I think Metcalf's going to have a massive monster week going against that terrible secondary, would be saying it lightly. Our running backs are David Montgomery at 6,100 and Najee Harris at 6,300, both home favorites going against better than ideal matchups. And then I got T. Higgins in there as a run back with David Montgomery in that game. He is at 5,400. I have Jared Cook at 3,900 as my tight end, and Jacoby Myers at 5,100 as my flex. And my defense is the Eagles at 2,400. I think they're gonna have a really good week this week. Really good chance to shut down Jimmy G. And I don't know what that backfield is gonna look like for San Fran today.
Sean, what is your DFS lineup of integrity?
So my stack is in a completely different game. All eyes are on SoFi Field for me for the Cowboys and the Chargers. So I've got Herbert, Eckler, and Allen all stacked in my lineup. Herbert's 6,700.
I'm just laughing because Bobby and I stacked the heck out of the Chargers too. Anyways, Go ahead.
There you go. Herbert 6,700, Eckler 7,300, Keenan Allen 7,000. I'm on all those. DJ Moore 5,900. My tight end is Cole Kmet at 3,700. I really like how much I've seen them use him in the limited, amount of time that he's been the featured guy on the field. My second running back, again, since I saved some money in some other places, I'll get to that really quick. My second running back is Najee Harris. I didn't love what I saw last week against Buffalo, but Buffalo actually does have a really good front four. And Vegas is more of a rushing front. Vegas is more of a rushing front four. They're not as good of an up the middle front four. And they're coming off a short week. So I'm going to bet on Najee a little bit. If he burns me again, he burns me. He's 6,300, which is kind of middle of the road for running backs.
He really should have a good week.
He really should have a good week. And they were feeding him. He just didn't have anywhere to go in Buffalo. So the place where I saved, and this is really going to be, an interesting one, but follow my logic for a second. KJ Hamler's all the way down the board at 3,800. I'm going to tell you, with a veteran quarterback like Teddy and against a really, really bad secondary, I think he's going to try and hit him early. That's something that veteran quarterbacks do. Try and get a guy the ball a lot, get his confidence back up. I mean, he dropped one of the easiest walk-in touchdowns I've ever seen anybody drop last week against the Giants, and they still won by 20. So, but I think they're going to try and get him a couple of early hole shots, especially with Judy out. So KJ Hamler at 3,800 might pop off today. Robert Woods is my flex at 5,700. Indianapolis plays a very traditional cover 2 style. They rush from the outside with their very talented guys, Leonard in space. The thing they don't do really well is cover stuff like drag routes and 5 and ins. They've really been burned by that the last couple of years, and that is Woods' specialty. Cup is the over-the-top guy. Van Reynolds is the other one. Woods is going to be alive under the middle all day, I think, against Indianapolis. And then, I mean, I'm taking the Browns defense hosting Houston. I just can't. I can't not do it. It's only $3,500 on DraftKings. That just seems like crazy value because they could have 9 sacks and 4 turnovers today.
All right. I thought you were going to take my guy when you said KJ because I took KJ Osborne as my flex. I was like, are you serious?
No, KJ Hamler.
I basically painted myself into a corner. I was like, well, what's left? What's left for 3,100? So I just said, hey, here we go. Give me the guy who should probably be in a shootout. All right, let's go ahead and do the DFS team build. A team building exercise we like to do here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Let me get us into a lobby. DraftKings is doing goofy things this morning on the desktop, and I hate working it on my phone when we're on the show because it just does not work as well. All right, let me see if we can get into one here. All right, so obviously we're going into the one that everyone's playing. All the 1 o'clock kickoff game is going forward. So is there like 13 games in that? And so that's the one that we're doing. So who went first last week? Was it Steve or Sean? Okay. So Sean, why don't you go ahead and go first this week? Give us your stack and then we'll go back and forth. Since there's 4 of us, we'll probably go 1-1-1-1-1 like that. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to start with the same game we just talked about, but on the opposite side of the field. I'm going to start with Dak Prescott at 6,800. That makes him the 5th highest quarterback on the board. I didn't see anything out of Dak last week that makes me think they're going to do anything different than what they did when Dak was healthy. They are going to chuck the ball all over the place. The Chargers are very, very strong in the front 7. They are not as strong in the secondary. I think people think they're stronger than they are because they basically played Taylor Heineke cold last week and a Ron Rivera offense. They're much better in the front 7. So give me Dak at 6,800. And if you're drafting Dak, I'm going to jump right in. So I'm actually not going to take Cooper. I'm going to take Lamb. Lamb is 6,400. Cooper's 6,800. I think they're relatively interchangeable. And that's my stack. So Prescott for 6,800, Lamb for 6,400. I think that game is going to be relatively up and down the field, and I can't get enough shares of it.
How much is Lamb again?
64.
Oh, okay.
6,400.
Okay. I thought he was a little higher than that. That's actually really cheap for Lamb. Bobby, let's start with you. Give us a pick. So basically, we're filling out a lineup, Bobby. And this is the first time you've done this with us, but basically pick a guy into this lineup. So we've got a quarterback, we've got a wide receiver, and away we go.
Since we've already got a receiver, and I've already mentioned his name quite a bit, Devontae Smith, I'll go with David Montgomery for 6,100, going against Cincinnati's defense. I like Montgomery a lot. I've been saying it since the offseason. He's one of my favorite running backs this year in fantasy and the NFL as a whole. So I'm going to go with Montgomery here at 6,100.
Steven, where are you going? We got Prescott at 68. We've got Montgomery at 61 and Lamb at 64.
Well, we spent a little bit of money here, so I'm going to save a little bit. Give me the Eagles defense at 2,400.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's pretty good.
You know what that is, Steven? You know what that is? My favorite word, frisky. Hey, frisky. I like him.
Okay. Did I forget to mute myself? Sorry. Okay. So I'm not going to go. My favorite play of the day, by the way, running backs for for the bang for the buck is Nick Chubb, but I've done that in too many of my other DFSs today. So I'm gonna go a little bit off the board there and stay away from that. I'm gonna double down with what Sean said. Give me Najee Harris. Give me 6,300 Najee Harris against that terrible Las Vegas defense. And they're gonna be on the road after a Monday night game. And it's West Coast, East Coast. Come on, baby. Let's go steal curtain. Let's get that ball to Najee and let him just eat all day long. Sean, it's back to you.
Back to me. All right. I'm going to leave some of the better stuff for everybody else, and I'm going to grab our tight end. And I'm going to give you a nice value play at tight end, someone that I think is going to see a lot of targets today, especially with some injuries in the secondary. Steven mentioned this game a moment ago. Dallas Goedert, $4,600. Hurts went to him a lot on third down last week. Of course, he had a touchdown. I think he had 4 catches on 5 targets, a little bit over 60 yards. He seems to be Hurts's guy. I don't know what's going on with the whole Goddard thing, but Goddard was definitely the more favored target of Hurts in week 1. And San Francisco's really beat up right now in the secondary and in the linebacking core. So I think he could eat, especially if that game's close, which it very well could be.
All right, so we'll go to Steven. We got 2 receivers and a flex open, and we're at 17.4 is our remaining salary.
So what does that average out to per player?
5,800.
5,800.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna actually save a little bit more. I'll let you guys choose a more expensive player. Give me KJ Hamler, 3,800.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, give that to me all day. Sean basically said it all before. I think he's got a real shot at a touchdown today.
I definitely think somebody's gonna make some hay there. I actually streamed Teddy Bridgewater in a season-long league that I purposely just ignored the quarterback. I was like, Justin Fields will start by week 5. Fine. So I keep just going, you know what? Give me Teddy Bridgewater this week. So we'll find out a lot today. Is it Hamler? Is it Patrick? Is it Sutton? Like, who's going to be the guy that eats? But he's got as good a chance as anybody. Bobby, what say you? We got a receiver and we got a flex left.
And how much money? Is that what it was?
We've got
6,800 per player.
Right. We got 13.6 total, 6,800 per player.
I'll go a little bit over that. I'll go a little bit over that 6,800 mark. I'll go with Keenan Allen at 7,000. I think he's in for a big week against the Cowboys defense.
Okay, so Keenan Allen at 7,000. That gives us 6,600 for a flex. Let me see who is available. We've got Godwin, Robinson, Kittle. I think. Well, if I take someone lower, do we want to go back and revisit any of these guys? Because there's some guys that I think that
we could for sure.
All right, so let me do that. I've been chirping about him all day long. Might as well go ahead and lean into him one more time. Mike Williams at 6,100. That gives us a $500 cushion to play with, and we could give it. We can take it to anyone. Whatever. I'm open to anything. Whoever y'all feel the least confident in, we got $500 that we could play with. So what is the vote? Well, you know what? We'll put it to a vote. Of all the guys that are on the lineup, who do you feel least confident in? We got Prescott, Montgomery, Harris, Lamb, Hamler, Keenan Allen, Goddard, Mike Williams, and the Philly defense. Steven, I'll start with you.
Honestly, since we already have Keenan Allen, the only way I would go Mike Williams is if I was using Justin Herbert.
Okay.
I would look to him switch out like either one of them.
So you're saying either switch out Herbert or switch out one of the
Keenan Allen or Mike Williams.
Gotcha. All right. Well, which one?
I would say Williams over Allen.
Okay. Sean, what say you?
I would offer an alternate proposition, which is, if we're going to stream both Allen and Williams, it makes more sense to put Herbert in, who's $100 less than Prescott, and then look at something else and have $600 to play with. That's just
I mean, if we're going to do that, then let's start the vote over again. We'll take Prescott out. We'll put Herbert in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does that sound good to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until they start goose stepping through the Washington D.C., this is still a democracy. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and put Herbert. So that's 600 to play with. Yeah, 600 to play with. So now that means that we're locked into keeping Allen and keeping Williams. Who does everyone want to take out? Steven, you get the first vote. You get 600 to play with.
Probably the defense.
A real obvious one. Yeah, that was me too. Yeah, that was the real obvious one. Yep.
I would upgrade
Steelers.
that defense from the Eagles to Steelers. Yep.
To the Steelers. Steelers are $3,000. It fits perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sounds good. So that'll be the DFS team build. So for you all that are playing along at home, we want to write this down. We took Justin Herbert, Montgomery, Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb, Hamler, Keenan Allen, Goddard or Goddard, depending on which country you're from, and Williams, and the Steelers defense. That's Mike Williams, by the way. So there we go. We'll go ahead and make that official, and I like our chances in that one. All right. Let's go ahead and Bobby, give us your lock of the day before you walk off out of here.
I mentioned my lock of the day earlier, which was Buffalo minus 3.5 versus Miami,
Right.
but I'll switch it up this time. There's a bet on
No. You only get one lock of the day.
Only one lock? Okay. I can do two. I can win you guys some more money, but I'll stick with one.
But then it's not a lock.
Oh, okay.
You can give
All
me
right, we'll go.
and then everyone's
We'll
like,
stick with Buffalo minus 3.5 versus Miami. I'll go with that.
And what is your one big thing?
I think the Titans are going to have a bounce back week against Seattle, and I think they'll win a close road game.
Lord, I hope you're right. Or you know what? I hope it's at least entertaining. Let me put it that way.
That's fair, yeah.
I got too many shares of some of these Titans players for this to be another 13-point output. All right, brother. Well, we will see you next Saturday morning on the Dixie Football Nation, and next Sunday on the Handicappers. Great job. And
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. It's time for us to dive into Stardom Situm here on the Handicappers. If this is the first time y'all are watching, by the way, we are here every Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon. And this last half hour, we do the Stardom Situms that everyone sends to us every single week. And then also we will finish off with our locks of the day against the spread. All right. Let me see what we got here. So we got some ones that people have added just in the last few minutes. So let's hit these first. Let's hit bars and trucks, or bars in the truck, excuse me. Good morning to you as well. Full point PPR, pick two of these. He's got CEH or she. I don't know if it's a he or she. CEH, Damian Harris, Eli Mitchell. You got to pick two of them. Sean, I'll start with you. CEH, Damian Harris, or Eli Mitchell?
Bookends, CEH and Mitchell, because I watched a lot of that Patriots game last week, and I'm telling you right now, yeah, Damian Harris is not a pass catcher in that offense, not one single bit. So as a full point PPR, Harris is meaningless to you. And I love Harris. I love Harris as a running back. I think he's going to score you a lot of touchdowns this year. I really like him, but he is not the pass catcher. I think they still are trotting out James White to catch passes on passing downs. So they've got Ramondre Stevenson to catch passes. Like, get Harris out of there and take the other two.
Is anybody worried that Harris could be in Belichick's doghouse?
Not yet.
The fumble didn't help, but no, I'm not worried about it. He's by far the most talented.
If there's
runner.
anyone that holds a grudge, it's Belichick. So that part makes me nervous.
That's true.
But okay, fair enough. Steven, what say you?
I am not a fan of Elijah Mitchell this week. But yeah, same thing with it's full point PPR, and you really can't trust Damian Harris there. So I'm going to have to run Mitchell and CEH.
I'll make it a full sweep. Give me Eli. I think he's going to score some points, especially with game flow. He should be the drug of choice out of the backfield. And then CEH, I know it's against Baltimore. Baltimore's defense did not look as impressive as it has in years past. And I do believe that he's going to have some opportunities to score Sunday Night Football. I mean, let's be honest, it's just more fun to go ahead and get the guy on Sunday Night Football, right? The next one that we have in is I think he meant to put in Cup, Cooper Cup. And then I believe it says Copper. So I'm assuming that means
Cooper.
Cooper.
Yeah, that's Amari Cooper.
Or he's flip-flopped the names and it's supposed to be Cooper Cup. But I'm assuming it's Cup or Amari Cooper or Lockett or Carson, and you can only start 2. And so once again, Cup, Amari Cooper, Lockett, or Carson. Sean, what say you?
I'm going to take the 2 guys in the middle. I'm going to take Amari Cooper, who I think is really going to eat today. And despite my previous statements about Tyler Lockett and how much I despise and detest him, if you really watched that Titans game close last week, I hate to say this for all my Titans fans friends, I think they're in some deep trouble, especially in the secondary. I mean, Christian Fulton looked like the only guy that had a clue what was going on last week. So Lockett may not get those 80-yard bombs that he got against Indy, but those 2 guys in the middle, Cup and Lockett, would be the 2 I'd go with. Or I'm sorry, Cooper and Lockett. I don't trust Cup against Indy. I think they can lock him down deep. Yeah, so give me the 2 in the middle.
Steven, what say you?
I'd go Cooper and Carson. I mean, I think Lockett could have a good week, but I think it's going to be more of a Metcalf week in the passing game. And Chris Carson is the uncontested back. Rashad Penny's out this week. He's going to get all the carries. He should get plenty of goal line touches. He could have a multiple touchdown day.
I'm going to assume, unless someone tells me different, this is a half-point PPR that's kind of become the standard across the board. So I'm going to say I definitely don't want to bench Carson because I'd be concerned that in a high-scoring game that I'm going, are you serious right now? I've got him on my bench, and you just see his point total rolling like a freaking slot machine. So I'd be worried about that. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and say, oh man, I don't want 2 guys in one game. I want to do Lockett against that secondary, but because I don't want that, give me Cooper because we just talked about how big of a shootout that game is going to be. It'll be a little hypocritical for me to say, oh yeah, sit him. I don't want 2 Seahawks in the same basket. So give me Cooper and give me Carson. All right. The next one, I can't give the person's hashtag name because it's not suitable for air. So Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, or Amari Cooper or Antonio Brown. You got to sit just one. So you're starting 3 of these. Once again, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, or Antonio Brown. I think it's pretty obvious you're going to start Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams. So it really comes down to AB versus the Falcons or Cooper versus the Chargers. Steven, what say you?
I'm going to sit AB this week. We don't like that game could get out of hand real quick, and we don't know what kind of passing volume is going to be there.
Sean, what say you?
Yeah, I don't disagree in any way. My concern with Tampa's offense is the same as it's been since the middle of last year. It's just a lot of mouths to feed, and you just don't know who's got the big spoon week to week.
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, I'm putting Cooper in. I just, with the mud and the muck out there, and I really feel like they're going to try to get Evans involved because he wasn't involved in the first game. It's going to be that kind of junk going on all year with Tampa. I'm not saying I would draw. I would sit AB in a lot of cases, but when you got 3 stud receivers like that, I mean, let's look at it this way: where did you draft these guys? Right? You drafted AB much farther back than you did Cooper, Allen, or Devontae. So it's week 2. Don't overthink it. Go ahead and put Cooper in. All right. Sean, so we got a bunch of these. So a lot of these, we're just going to do solo shots. So Sean, this one goes to you. Melvin Gordon, Gaskin, or Tyson, excuse me. Pick one.
Gaskin.
Okay. Reason?
I trust his volume more than the other 2. I didn't like what I saw. I still say that the number 1 running back in Baltimore is the guy that's under center. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon with Dobbins out. And I just trust Gaskin. They're going to throw in a little Sylvan Ahmed here and there, but I still think Gaskin is always one broken tackle away from an 80-yard touchdown. Big Gaskin believer.
A lot of people are on the Gordon train this week, but remember something about that. It was one.
Javonte Williams, the one.
Well, yeah, but I think they're both going to get have a chance to have decent games, but it was one long run that made Melvin Gordon's day. So if you take away that run, with those yards, his statistics were not very impressive. So I kind of have to probably lean with you. I'm intrigued to see what Tyson Williams does. Steven, Mike Williams or Jamar Chase that's at a full point PPR?
I'm going to go Jamar Chase here. I mean, I think Williams is going to have a big day, but he's not a PPR guy. He's more of a big play, 4 or 5 catches for 100 and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, I think, is going to have much better volume today.
All right. Sean, Gronk or Kittle? I can't believe we're asking this, but after week 1, everyone's freaking out. Gronk or Kittle?
Yeah, I think last week's the outlier for Gronk. And week to week, I'm always going to start Kittle. Kittle's top 3. People have just forgotten that George Kittle was the best tight end in football for basically 2 full seasons, even better than Travis Kelce on a PPR basis, especially just with catches. And they're going to have to lean on him heavy probably again today.
So actually, hold on. I got some breaking news here. For the Saints today, Marshawn Lattimore and CJ Gardner-Johnson are out today.
Carolina +3. Telling you
that's
now.
Where the money's, that's where the money's coming from.
Yeah. That kind of leans into what my lock of the day is. But yeah.
I took it when it was 4. I can't believe it.
Is it
on that note?
Is it a COVID?
No, I think Lattimore got hurt last week. I just saw they're out. I didn't see any reasons.
Gotcha.
But on that note, DJ Moore has scored 25 points 3 times in his career. Twice of those have come 2 times against the Saints. So,
yep,
something to look out for today.
Steven, Kareem Hunt or Edmonds? It's a full point PPR.
I'm gonna go Kareem Hunt here, but I don't think you can go wrong with either.
Sean, pick 2 of these. This is a full point PPR. AJ Brown, Ridley, Deontay Johnson, or Amari Cooper?
AJ Brown, Ridley, Deontay Johnson, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a lock, and give me AJ Brown, just because I'm worried the Titans are going to be down 14-0 before they can sneeze, because Taylor Lewan will have given up 2 strip sack fumbles because he sucks.
Steven, start Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers?
Dak Prescott.
I think so. I think so. Oh man, I'll tell you what though, man. I'll tell you what. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to make a point. He already kind of alluded it to the press conference after the loss on Sunday, but oh man, that's a spicy one. But I think it's safer to put Dak Prescott in there. By the way, programming note, forgot to mention it in the first hour. Sean and I are going to be doing Monday Night Football on here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube. We're going to do it's basically going to be a radio broadcast of the game. I did a solo job of this Friday night with the Braves and Giants, and we got a lot of we got more interest than I expected to, because I was also doing it for a company called Colorcast, and I was simulcasting it. So we're going to do it again tomorrow night with Monday Night Football. Should have a lot of fun. Steven, hit me up down the road if you have any interest in this kind of stuff. I am starting to put together a schedule of what's feasible. I mean, there's a lot of games I'd love to do, but everyone's schedule is just bananas. So they don't play a lot of ball games at 6 a.m. And we ain't gonna start doing KBO. I tell you that right.
We did that last year.
Unless we find out that we're getting 1 million views and go, well, here we go, KBO live. So where are we at next? So who took the last question? Steven, right?
I did, yes.
With this Dak. Sean, we just did that one. So Sean, Melvin Gordon or Chase Edmonds?
Melvin Gordon. I don't love either. But Edmonds terrifies me, because they're really, if you watch the game last week, they used Connor a lot, especially around the end zone. So I just worry, unless Edmonds catches a swing pass and takes it 20 yards, he's not getting you much of anything.
Steven, are you going Tyson, Boyd, Davis? That's Mike Davis of the Falcons, or Gordon. You can only pick one, and it is a full point PPR.
I'm going to go Tyler Boyd here. I think he's got a good shot at a rebound week. Like, I think they could be playing from behind, so like they'll be throwing the ball a lot.
Okay. One more similar to this, Sean. Boyd, Chris Davis, or Mike Davis in the flex, full point PPR.
Boyd.
Man, I would have a hard time benching Chris Davis after last week. I'll tell you that right now, man. That's a tough one. I
don't love starting any Jet against Belichick.
I get that, but they have given up quite a few yards through the.
They have.
I don't know if he's going to get in the end zone, but I think he's going to get a lot of yards. And then once again with Cincinnati, I know the Bears gave up a lot of offense, right? But you do have three guys to choose from. Not if you don't even count guys coming out of the backfield, but they've got a three-headed monster with Higgins, Chase, and Boyd. And Boyd did not help. I don't know. I'd be leaning Chris Davis, I think. Steven, Chenault, Waddell, Mitchell, or Mike Davis?
I'm not playing Mitchell or Davis. I'm gonna go Chenault here. Like he's looking like the underneath option. I think they're
just anti-Eli Mitchell. Now, why is that? Do you think that it's all going to be a hoax and it's going to end up being Trey Sermon's job this morning?
We don't know. I mean, like the range of outcomes are Elijah Mitchell getting 25 for 200 and 2 touchdowns, or Elijah Mitchell getting 2 carries for -1 yard. I mean, like the range of outcomes are so vast, and there's so many different options there. They could abandon the run altogether today if they get behind.
Okay. I personally would lean with Mitchell just because I think he's going to get the most touches of all those guys. And Mike Davis is going to pay dividends for people that drafted him, by the way. Don't panic. But week 1, bad game. Week 2, terrible matchup. You're going to now look, if it ends up continuing to rain in Tampa, then maybe he gets in the slop and maybe he finds his way in the end zone. He's not a bad start, but I got Mike Davis in a lot of leagues, and he's sitting on my bench in every single one of them.
Even last week,
in one of them, I'm having to go with Nyheim Hines as my running back because it's a full point PPR because I don't trust him. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
Sean, Julio, Captain Kirk, Aguilar, or Marvin Jones?
Julio, Captain Kirk, Aguilar, Marvin Jones. Only one?
Yeah, just one. It's a flex.
Captain Kirk. I don't like any of them, but
I'm going to kind of echo what Steven was saying. I think I'd go Julio just because I'm expecting a much higher scoring output by the Titans, and I want to be a part of that, right? If I'm got the Marvin Jones is a sneaky play, but there's so much turmoil going on in Jacksonville. I'm very nervous starting anyone for the Jaguars right now. I don't know who that is. They're flashing up on the screen, but the dude's got a knee brace like the size of Rhode Island. I wish they'd flash this dude's name down because I want to go against his defense. I don't know what was, man. He's running and he looks like one of us like heading to the fridge, during commercial break. It's like, I don't know what you play, but it's not professional football. Steven, Landry, Gronk, or Robbie Anderson, or Jacoby Myers. Can only pick one.
Jacoby Myers.
That easy for you, huh?
Yeah.
Man, Landry against that Texans defense.
Robbie
Anderson.
Robbie Anderson, I think I think Myers has the best matchup, and I think he's gonna have the most volume. Simple enough.
I don't know, man. Since OBJ's not playing, I'll be honest with you. He's not like one of my favorite picks ever, but Landry seems like the safest one. Sean, Tim Patrick, or Brandon Ayuk? Oof.
That's God. The oof size on that washer is extra large. That's an extra large oof. But if I have to pick one, give me Tim Patrick. Kyle Shanahan's the new. I don't know if we would call him the new Belichick, the new Gary Kubiak. I think he hates fantasy and despises it and wants it to die. Like he's just gonna start the most random practice squad people.
He's a new Marv Levy because he can't win the big one. That's
there's that too.
Steven, Julio or Mike Williams is one question, and then there's a double-sided question. So Julio or Mike Williams?
Mike Williams.
And then James Robinson or Tyson Williams?
I'll go. I'm gonna go Tyson Williams there.
Yeah, I think I'm Williams across the board there. That's once again, I'm going to watch that game again today, and I'm going to tell you right now, within 4 or 5 minutes, there's going to be a remote flying at that TV. If I see freaking Carlos Hyde on like 3rd and long, and he's in the freaking backfield, and I'm like, what the? I think he's tanking for Los Angeles, meaning he's headed to Southern Cal. He's like, if I do a terrible job, they'll fire me by week 5. Chris Davis, Chase, or Drake, Sean? Chase, Jamar Chase, excuse me.
Jamar Chase.
Corey Davis,
Jamar Chase, Kenyon Drake. Jamar Chase. I don't love Chicago's defense at all, and they got burned deep a lot last week.
Steven, same question, but this person also has Javonte Williams.
I'm going to stick with Jamar Chase there.
I think I'd go Williams. I feel like he's going to have a day. I think this is going to be the day where I was going to go, oh, man, should have drafted him. Sean, Taylor from the Colts, Miles Sanders, Chris Carson. Only pick one.
Chris Carson. Not enough people watch that Titans game, man. I'm telling you, it's bad.
Steven, Kirk or MVS, and he's going against Kyler Murray in this league. So his opponent has Kyler Murray. Should he start should she start Kirk or MVS?
Definitely Kirk. I mean, even if it was a much better player than MVS, which is almost anybody in the fantasy realm. No, Christian Kirk there. I mean, like if Kyler is going to go off, you want to recoup as many points as you can.
I got to comment on something. Sean, are you filing your nails again?
Sure.
I wasn't paying attention, but one of the people watching it said, Sean, quit filing your nails. McGee, look at him right now. And I was like, what am I looking at?
I thought it was a shake weight.
I don't have one of those.
I was afraid it was something much worse because we can't really see your hands.
Stop it.
Oh, we can just see it moving vigorously.
This is not the New York Times.
Oh, DFS is so good. So good. Miles Sanders, Mike Williams, Kareem Hunt, Gaskin, or Debo. Throwing this at both of y'all. I'm gonna say it again. You're picking 2. Thielen, Sanders, Mike Williams, Kareem Hunt, Gaskin, and Debo. So of all those, what is that? 6 guys. You got to start 2. Sean,
I don't want to put too many eggs in the San Francisco Philly game, but I do want some action in that game. So I'm going to say Miles Sanders, and then I'll take Thielen for the other.
Steven, what say you?
We're in agreement on Thielen, and I'm going to go Kareem Hunt. I think he's going to. I could see Chubb and Hunt both going for 100 today.
I'll make it a sweep with Thielen, but my second guy's got to be Mike Williams. I like Kareem Hunt a lot in that, to be honest with you. I like Kareem Hunt a lot in that, but Mike Williams, I just have a feeling if I bench him in any league that I have him, I'm going to go, are you serious right now? As James Robinson's rushing for 14 yards. Drake or Higgins? Sean, full point PPR.
Ooh, that's intriguing. T. Higgins. Nobody has Rashard Higgins. Stop it. T. Higgins. Yeah, give me T. Higgins.
Steven, what say you on that
T.
one?
Higgins.
I don't even like Drake.
You don't like Drake? How could you not like Drake?
Who's Drake?
Who's Drake?
Drake is good.
I told you that Drake was bad. I hate the Drake.
I actually like the Drake today. I'm going to say the Drake. I want him to play more so we can play that clip more. Steven, Cooks, Brandon Cooks, Claypool, Mike Davis, or Marvin Jones Jr. Got to start 2.
I'm going to go Cooks and Marvin Jones Jr. I don't think Claypool's there yet, and I don't think that this is the game script for him. And yeah, we've talked enough about Mike Davis.
Steve, Sean, same question with Cooks, Claypool, Mike Davis, Marvin Jones Jr., but this person also has Deebo Samuel. So does that change anything?
Not really, because Debo's not playing the Lions secondary this week. It's not facing Jeff Okuda out there, with no spine and half an Achilles and, a head full of sawdust. So I'm not worried about Deebo Samuel going off this week. I would echo the same thing Trosh said. I would start the same 2 people.
All right. And so the next one is Kyle Pitts or Jared Cook. This is an interesting one because we all know how high Pitts went in the draft. He's going against the Bucks. Cook is going against the Cowboys, and look what an old aging tight end did to them last week. Steven, start with you.
I mean, I have Cook in my DFS lineup, so I mean, I'm high on him. I was high on him coming into the season. I mean, that's just a great matchup for him. And I mean, draft we're setting lineups. We're trying to win a week. Draft capital means nothing. Kyle Pitts is going he's second game, didn't do much last week. Matt Ryan has not done well outside of that dome. They're going to face one of the best defenses in the league. I'm not going to start Pitts until I see it.
Sean, what say you?
No reason to disagree with anything he just said. I was as much of a Pitts stockholder as anybody, but let him burn you by it first. Cook could go off.
Yeah, I hate to say it because I've got so many shares of Pitts, but man, I got to lean starting Cook because he's got a much better chance of breaking into the end zone. I'd be kicking myself if I see Pitts go off, but is he really going to go off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense? If he does, that's great because that means going forward I can just starting him, right? But
he's a guy again. I mean, don't be worried about him. He's got he has a pretty tough run of matchups to start the season, but he will be fine.
All right, let's go ahead and I think that just about does, unless anyone else throws some in. If I didn't get to yours, I do apologize, but throw it in the chat and we definitely get it to you. Okay, Sean, where are you going for your lock of the day?
My lock of the day is the same thing I started with talking about, and I don't see any reason to change it now. So I'm going to give you a same game parlay with 3 legs. You want to jump on it, do. If you don't.
Don't give us a parlay. Give me the one pick. I will give you all the picks that have already been taken. Buffalo -3.5 has been taken. Carolina +3.5 has been taken, and then the Cleveland over under at 48 has been taken by Joey, Tones, and Bobby earlier. I'm going last, but because I like y'all to get all your picks in, and then I just pick whatever's left. So with all that being said, give me your lock, and then if you want to give me the 3-leg parlay, that's fine, but I need to know the lock.
Okay. My lock is Denver -6 at Jacksonville.
Okay.
Switch it up.
And the 3-leg parlay I just mentioned, again, I'm all in on Carolina, but listen to this one. This is from the Caesar Sportsbook, which you may or may not have in your area. So take that with a grain of salt. DJ Moore over 64.5 yards receiving. Sam Darnold over 1.5 touchdowns in Carolina's money line +800. $5 bet returns 45. $10 bet returns 90. And I love Carolina today. I think that could be a real sneak attack game for people that got it early and got it at 4. Woo, could that pay off nicely?
We were reading up on it last night. It looks like that the Florida law to be able to pass it through gambling apps, it looks like it's coming sooner than later. So they had it set to go for October 15th, and evidently DraftKings and FanDuel are fighting it because they want their action in there. And so
right.
There's a hearing on November 4th, but it sounds like one way or the other we should have it by the Super Bowl, I would think, if nothing else. So that's good in my book. I'm like, you stupid DraftKings. Why don't you just let it go? Let it go public October 15th, and you could always back sue, right?
Right. I told Trosh the only reason I jumped in the Caesars app is they had a really nice promo for new users in the month of September, where if you bet over $100 on the NFL, they give you a $150 NFL shop gift card. So, which is enough for me to buy a nice custom jersey. So, I'm going to be gambling anyways. Nice little promo. If you're in an area where you can get it, it is a very nice app.
They'll all be competing for our dollar. Like as soon as it goes public in Florida, it's going to be under
it's over.
It's going to be under the Seminole Casino, but MGM is going to be their app is what they'll be using. I'm sure they'll call it something else, the Florida whatever, but it's FanDuel and DraftKings that are trying to block it because they're saying this isn't fair. Why do only they get to do it? So there's a hearing on November 4th. We'll see what happens. Steven, what is your lock of the day?
My lock of the day, we've talked about this game a lot. I think there's going to be points galore. I'm going over depending on what your book says. I have it at 54.5. Dallas and the Chargers. I'm going over on that game all the way.
Okay, I actually have it at 54. So we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt at 54. And so let me see what is left of the ones that I've jotted down. 1 second. So right now you've got Denver -6. Is that I'm assuming that's update. Ooh, Sean, it's actually -7. Do you want to stick with that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you've got Dallas and the Chargers at 54. 54 and it actually moved up. So we'll keep it at 54.5. All right. And Sean, I'll give you your 6.5. No way. It kind of splits the differences there. Okay, so that leaves me with, I guess I'll go ahead and stick with it. Let me make sure that line hasn't jumped because with all the news that y'all just gave me, there's a good chance that sucker jumped. Where is Carolina? Yeah, it's still sitting at 45 on my book. So I'm going to take Carolina and New Orleans, the over on 45. I expect there to be some points scored no matter who wins. And now that there's guys missing on defense, I mean, come on, let's go. Sean, what is your one big thing as you walk off for the day?
My one big thing for the day is keep an eye on the Arizona-Minnesota game. I was staying away from that for good reason. I have gotten butchered several times betting against Kirk Cousins, and he just magically shows up and goes for 280 and 4 touchdowns. I swear if he does.
Do you think it's going to be a high-scoring game?
I really do. Yeah. I don't know. I'm concerned about how much of what Arizona did last week was Arizona's good versus I think Tennessee is actually very bad. They still might win that division, but I think they're a 9-8 team. So I'm worried about that game. It's a total stay away from me, but keep an eye on it because it's going to inform what we do in week 3 and week 4 as we bet those two teams down the road because they both have very exciting schedules aside from the Lions games, and Arizona has tons of exciting games even out of division. So if you've got Sunday ticket or whatever, red zone, try and keep your eye on that game because I think that could be a fascinating one. And I got to run, gents. That's my walk off.
Okay. Stephen, what is your one big thing?
Sean kind of stole it earlier with his DFS, but my one big thing is KJ Hamler is going to break the DFS slate today. Like at least one. I'm going to go bold and call 2 touchdowns today.
Wow. My one big thing is I think it'll be a coming out party for Mac Jones. He's going up against the Jets. Okay. And I think he'll get at least 2 touchdown passes. He's not going to light the world on fire. I'm not going to play him in DFS, but I am looking forward to seeing Mac Jones versus Zach Wilson. Look, that's a rivalry that we should get to see for the next 10, 15 years, as long as these guys stay upright. I favor Mac Jones in this game, not because he's necessarily the better quarterback, but he's definitely got the better coach and the better squad at this point. So that is my one big thing. Y'all have a great day. Stephen, great job. And all the other guys, great job. We will see you tomorrow for the morning show. And then also remember, we're doing Monday Night Football, Lions versus the Packers in Green Bay, and we will bring the audio to you here on Armchair Quarterbacks. Have a great day.